Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast, presents episode 898, Back in Our Day, recorded on August 28th, 2025. Hello everyone, welcome to Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast. I am your host for this episode, DustStorm, and I am joined by one of our many recurring guests on the podcast for quite a while now. We have CMNeir back on. Welcome back to Podtacular. I think you mentioned it's been about 4 years, I think, since you were on last, but welcome back.
Hello, it's good to be back. Yeah, I think the last time I was on was right before Infinite came out. And the first time I was ever on Podtacular was in 2010, so it's been 15 years since I first appeared here. It's been a journey.
That is quite a journey indeed. I've been on the Podtacular train for almost 17 years, which is hard to believe, come Halo Worlds this year, which will be quite a fun experience. Wow. Yeah. And
we were just two youngins when we got thrown into the world of Halo.
We really were. I didn't realize how close Podtacular's start and Halo Trick's start actually was.
Yeah, when did Podtacular start officially?
The first episode released on July 28th, 2005.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we recorded our first episode of Halo 2 Tricks on September 7th, 2005. Yeah, wow.
So literally,
it was a big year. It was
a month and a half away from each other.
That's crazy.
Halo 2 started a lot within the Halo community. Like, Halo 1 definitely did a lot. You had MLG that got started with Halo 1. You got Red versus Blue from Halo 1. So there's some of the core stuff, but a lot of the community stuff.
But the internet was still primarily on dial-up.
Right.
And Xbox Live wasn't even a thing yet. I think the end of 2004, or somewhere in 2004. I can't remember when Xbox Live came out. It was 2004, possibly.
Wasn't Halo 2 the flagship for Xbox Live? So that would have been November, September.
Yeah, so 2004. Yeah, I actually didn't get Xbox Live until the summer of 2005. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah,
technically, well, so I really didn't get my start until 2007. Yeah, when
on Podtacular?
No,
or just in general.
Just in general with Halo. So my start for getting involved with the Halo community really started with listening to Podtacular when it came out. We had a family vacation that we took to Africa, and I downloaded all 50-ish something episodes. So Podtacular had been out for about a year at that point, so I downloaded all the episodes. And 2006 was when I started getting a little more involved with the Podtacular community. I didn't have Halo, but I had friends that I had slept over with and played Halo, because that was kind of one of those things you did when you were a kid. You had sleepovers, and if you had friends that had the consoles, you would stay up late and play Halo, which is what I did with my good friend in grade school. So I listened to the podcast, got involved with the community, even though I didn't have Halo at the time, but I got a laptop for my birthday, my 18th birthday, which would have been the January of my senior year, and I purchased Halo CE, and I started just playing the heck out of that, and then I got Halo 2 Vista that summer and played it on my laptop, and that's really where I started getting more heavily involved with the Halo community. And then I bought my own 360 with my Christmas money from Christmas 2007 into 2008, and started playing Halo 3 after it came out, and the rest has been an uphill climb from there.
Wow.
Yeah, what about you?
I wonder if my memory is good enough for this. I think I got Halo CE when it came out, or soon after. I actually don't remember when I started playing it. I just know I used to play it a lot with my dad and my sister, and actually friends too. They would come over and we'd do like, split screen together. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got Halo 2 probably on release day or pretty close to it, but I didn't have Xbox Live, so it was all local still. And then when I got Xbox Live in the summer of 2005 is when I played online and started to meet new friends, and that's kind of where it all happened, which is kind of crazy to think about 20 years ago. And so in September of 2005, my friend Ryan, who I knew in real life, not online, we were coming home from school on the bus, and I think he suggested or was talking to me about tricks in Halo. I think he mentioned a launch that you could get onto the top of the tower in Relic, and Tank Pinball was one of them. And so I think after school, we went to my parents' basement. I was like 15. We were both 15 at the time. And we basically went through it, and I figured out a way to record the footage or the gameplay without actually literally recording the TV screen itself.
Yeah.
It was, I had a camcorder that recorded to high 8 tapes.
Yeah.
Slightly bigger than the mini DV tapes.
This is how you captured gameplay, folks, before there were capture cards. You used camcorders.
Exactly. This was before capture cards. And it was, and a lot of people were using camcorders and filming their TV straight on, like literally straight.
Yep.
I fed the camcorder through a VCR. So the Xbox went through a VCR. The VCR went to the TV, and then also out of the VCR there was the output to my camcorder, and so it was able to see the feed of the Xbox on the camcorder, and I would just be in a playback mode on the camcorder and press 2 buttons to record what was being shown on the screen. And that's how we recorded Tank Pinball that day. And I think I edited the footage that night. Ryan did the voiceover because I think I was a shy teenager at the time and didn't want, whatever. And we didn't upload to YouTube because YouTube wasn't popular yet. YouTube started in February of 2005, but it was still not really widely known.
Yeah.
What was popular then was Google Video.
Yep.
And Mythica within the Halo community. And so that's where I uploaded the first episode to. So if you go to my YouTube channel, my first upload ever to YouTube was actually October 24th, 2005. Not September 7th, but we completed the first episode on September 7th. And that's also crazy to think about. I started uploading to YouTube within the first year of YouTube's existence.
That's crazy.
Kind of mind-boggling. You don't think about it then because you don't think YouTube or any of those sites are going to last forever. I mean, look at Google Video. Didn't last. Mythica didn't last. YouTube stuck around.
Well, Google ended up buying out YouTube. So in a way, they kind of just merged.
That's true. Wow. Full circle. I forgot about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then...
but yeah, that was how it all started. Halo 2 Tricks. There was no real structure to it either. I don't even know what the end game was other than to just catalog tricks that we found on the internet and kind of do it in our own quirky way.
Well, that was kind of the time frame back then, right? Like whenever things like that got started, there were some things that were with a purpose, but a lot of the Halo community and really the internet culture with video games back in that time was just kind of doing whatever and seeing kind of what stuck and see what got people's interest. There was no, like, with how gaming is today and how many niches there are and how you've got just a huge library of games. It's a very different landscape for gaming now, and even the content that gets created between 2004 and 2024 Halo and gaming in general. You had mentioned it before. We didn't have really good internet when Halo first came out, so the experience for Halo was split screen and co-op, and you got your own little 240p corner that you could play on a CRT that was maybe 20 inches or something like that if you're at a LAN party.
Oh yeah,
and
full screen too, 4x3. Yeah,
and internet being DSL at best back then, you you didn't have a lot of wiggle room to make a lot of video content. Now it's just how many minutes of video are uploaded to YouTube every minute?
It's probably a mind-boggling
It's like
amount.
years worth
don't
every
even wanna
minute.
fathom it. There's too much content now. You know what I'm saying?
There really is.
I'm the old grumpy guy at this point. YouTube has changed so much since I started.
Yeah, it's content creation in general has changed so much in just our lifespans within the video game community side of things.
I will say, content creation back then, especially for video games, was much harder to get into, and now it's so easy to get into. Anyone can do it, and that I like. It might be saturated. There might be a lot of content out there, but it's kind of nice that anyone can like get a capture card or record their screen now and their playthroughs with friends or with themselves and post it online.
Yeah, you can find basically anything that you're looking for within content that's out there. You can find podcasts, you can find videos, you can find montages, streamers. Like, it's night and day compared to what we grew up with in Halo.
Back then it was a bit more taboo to meet people online.
Yeah, that's
talk
true.
To strangers online.
That's true. The internet has definitely normalized that.
A completely different time.
I feel like that was maybe about 10 years ago. I feel like that bubble was kind of the 2011 to 2014 era of...
Yeah, possibly. I was way ahead of the curve at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 15 when I met Redneck Sniper, and I think he was at least 10 years older than me. I can't remember. But we became really close, great friends. And yeah, so it was like you say that to someone back then and they'd be like, "Whoa, what, you know."
Mm-hmm.
Even now, maybe, I don't know. I
feel like it's a lot more normalized because of how connected things are with the internet now, and the stigmatism for video games is not nearly as bad as it was back then, because you had some of those campaigns of like, video games are evil, or video games are rotting your kids' minds, and it's like, no.
That's always going to be a thing, but it's not true. For the most part, there's always a balance.
Right. And I mean, that happens with a lot of things in culture, right? Like, people are resistant to change, and it usually takes the younger generation to take something and really expose it and use it for what it actually is, and it's not horrible or end all be all. It's just, everything in moderation. Obviously, you don't want to be playing, well, I was going to say, obviously, you don't want to be playing video games 24/7, but there's people that make livings off of doing that, so it can be a career for some people.
Yeah, no, a lot of people have turned it into a career, and good for them.
Yeah. I mean, all these competitive players that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and you've got, I would say League is probably the biggest competitive esport in the world. Either that or CS GO, maybe, and that's millions of dollars. So the landscape has certainly changed from when you and I started our journey into creating content for Halo.
Yeah. I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Was Halo Tricks kind of the only thing that you've ever thought about kind of during your early years, or did you kind of think of other possible things to do, or was it just kind of on a whim, hey, I want to do this and see if it works, and that's just kind of what you stuck with?
That's kind of what I stuck with. I did a lot of filming of my friends in real life, like little movies here and there, but as you got older, people got more busy.
Yeah.
And recording a video game was kind of easier because I could do it myself. I didn't need a lot of people. Ryan and I did that together for quite a while, and then throughout the months after we first started is when I started meeting people in Halo or online because they were watching my videos, and they would reach out, and then eventually it turned into a cast full of people that became friends, and that's what really stuck with me, and that's why I kept going. I never planned to keep going for as long as I did. I always had I think I was going to end at 28 episodes, and it was going to end at 80. And then I came back, and then I ended Halo 2 Tricks at 150 episodes over a 2-year span. And then we did Halo 3. And then when we did Halo 3, I thought that was going to be the end. And then we did Halo Reach. And then I thought that was going to be the end. And then we did Halo 4, and that was kind of the end. And that didn't last very long. And then MCC came out, and we kind of dabbled with that. And then that ended. And then we kind of laid dormant for a while. And then MCC became good.
Right.
And then...
well, it took 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I say 5 years because 2019 is when they brought Reach in, and they kind of restarted that development. And I think the 2019 push is really what made MCC what it is today. Yeah. So speaking of meeting friends that you met online, you're pulling a fast one on me, Chris, and bringing someone else from your cohort. So you want to introduce who you're bringing into the podcast now?
Yes. This isn't someone I met online, but in real life. He's a good friend of mine, DJ. He goes by Darker Sun online, and he has appeared in some episodes, but he wasn't, part of the original group in Halo 2. I think he showed up in some Halo 3 and Halo Reach. But I thought it'd be nice because, as much as I love to talk, DJ can help fill in the gaps.
Gotcha.
Welcome, DJ.
Hey, yeah, and I think it's interesting because Chris and I have also visited and met a lot of the crew together. Sometimes when we met some of the people, sometimes it was Chris on his kind of journey around the country to visit some of these people, and sometimes it was with the gang of us as we went to go meet some of the folks. So it is interesting that I actually do know Chris. We went to school together. And
nice.
Then, and we knew each other, and then we gamed together a lot. Really got to be better friends. And as Chris was working on the Halo thing, we would be around. Chris, I have a great memory with you where we would actually stream. We were playing Civilization 5, and it was Christmas Eve, and we activated the stream, and we had the camera. He had the camera going. And periodically I would look at the stream, and it was Christmas Eve. It was like maybe 10 or 11 p.m. in a specific time. So it's already like 1 a.m. on the East Coast. And every once in a while I would look at the stream and go, there's 16 people watching. What are you people doing? Go to bed. and Chris would get angry. He's like, stop telling my viewers to go to bed. I go, wait, but it's Christmas Eve. What are they doing?
Why was I streaming on a Christmas Eve?
I don't know.
The amount of time I had in college, I guess.
Yeah,
we all had so much more time back then.
Yeah, we did.
Right.
We keep reminiscing on the era that was.
I know. I mean, I'm a sucker for nostalgia. That's why I'm doing this 20 years later,
right?
And I'm making a 20-year anniversary video. Because I'm very nostalgic, but in a good way, right? It's not. It's fine. It's fine.
You're doing better than us. We didn't do anything for our 20-year. I mean, we mentioned it on the podcast.
Well, 25 is a good one. 25 is a good mark. Don't forget that one.
That's true. Which will have Halo turning 25 next year, which is
that's insane.
Crazy.
It just makes me feel older. But going back to DJ talking about how we met a lot of the cast members that were a part of Halo Tricks. Like the first time I met. I forget who I met for the first time. I think it was Midget Dance. Jake was the first person I met IRL in 2009, I think. I went to Disney World with him. That was a lot of fun. But the first time the bigger cast got together, and it almost became a yearly thing, was PAX.
Yeah.
PAX West, to be more precise, in Seattle. 2011 is when most of the cast came out to Seattle for the first time. That's when I met Taco Rific for the first time. Stone Emo Kid, Jake came out.
That's when we met for the first time.
Was it? Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so. That was the
we were both on the community.
Halo had something at PAX.
Weren't we both on the community panel?
Yes, we were on the community panel.
Yeah.
Yes, that was 2011. That's right.
It was you, me, Claude, and BS Angel, and
Adam. Yep.
And someone else.
I forget who else. Yeah, there was a few of them. There was like someone named Adam Grumbo. as
Oh,
well. I forget
Grumbo was
what
on
his
there.
online handle
Okay,
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, time flies. That was 14 years ago.
Yeah, did Quinn come to that too? I think he came a year.
I can't
And you used to
remember.
mention Taco. You mentioned Taco, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
some of these folks, it's like it's like Chris said it. This almost became an annual thing, and
Dubes McGee as well. I don't know if Dubes was there in 2011. I think he might have been, but he was definitely there in 2012. And
from
speaking
Canada,
of
right?
Dubes, he came out and visited during PAX and loved the area so much. Eventually, he moved out here, so he lives out in the area of Seattle where I live. So we hang out in person every once in a while, which is nice.
That's cool.
That is a great long-term connection there. I'm glad that he enjoyed it so much. Yeah, we had a good time though, because we had press passes, and I will say that does change the things up when you get a press pass.
You didn't have a press pass. I had a press pass. We couldn't get press passes for everyone that year, at least that year. So
yeah, we tried to swing it every year. We try to finagle probably more than what we had. But if you walked around with a camera too, I do remember one year, 2010, 2011, you had that shoulder, like I had the camera, and we were doing a lot of just kind of walking around the convention center before the panel,
Yeah.
And those were some good times. It actually was called PAX Prime back then. They changed the name because they didn't want everybody to get. They were all jealous because
they didn't have a PAX East or Central yet.
South. Yeah.
Actually, might have just been called PAX at the time. I don't know when it turned into Prime, but it turned into Prime and then eventually West.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, it's.
I'm pretty sure by the time.
It's crazy that something like.
Halo Fest rolled around, it was PAX Prime.
It could have been. I can't remember. That's my old age getting to me.
I'd say, like you said though, even in the 2010s, it was still the early 2010s. It was still weird to meet people on the internet. Like we grew up with this idea that you should meet strangers on the internet, and then
I kind of failed
completely,
that one.
completely ignored it.
My parents are still proud of me.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
There we go. But it's funny because the last like 3 or 4 weddings I've been to are all just people who met on like some app or some sort of internet thing, and of course that it has no like stigma to it anymore. But I do know that like
that didn't even exist back then. It's crazy how much has changed, and the fact that a game like Halo 2 in this case, and then Xbox Live being brand new to the scene, like that opened the door for so many people to meet each other. I never thought I'd meet people online and eventually like fly out to them and meet them in their hometown and explore the area. Not in my wildest dreams did I have any idea that would happen, or that I'd meet Dustin at Halo Fest and appear on Podtacular. Actually, I must have known you before Halo Fest, but that was probably the first time we met in person, right?
I think that was the first time we met.
Because I was on Podtacular in 2010, a year before,
right?
But it's just, I don't know. It's mind-boggling to me that you can now meet a friend that lives on the other side of the world. And
I'd say one of my best friends is probably Ace, which
Ace, yep. Yeah, oh yeah.
Memphis.
I feel like you two talk a lot more frequently than I talk with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's probably one of my best friends. And we met through Halo 2 Vista. We met through a random machinima lobby one night, because when I got Halo 2 Vista and I was playing it basically the summer before I started college, I was into all the machinima stuff. And it really sucks to see the state of machinima nowadays. And there are some good ones out there, but I feel like the machinima presence was a lot bigger back then. And things like Halo 2 tricks and some of these other, not straight machinima things, but a lot of these other kinds of content creations were a lot more prevalent and a lot more, I guess, sought after. And maybe one of those reasons is just there wasn't streaming back then, and there's a lot of content creating that's streaming and news.
There wasn't a lot of streaming, and now it's a lot of news, and like it's a lot of churning out tons of content relatively quickly, and news is a good way to do that, I guess. And Halo has lost a lot of popularity. I mean, That's kind of why we
Do you
kind of
guys?
stopped.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel that games today, not to put Halo on a pedestal or anything, do you guys feel that games today lend themselves to these kind of friendships where, it could be that we're getting older and we just don't have the time to do this, but do you think that there was something special about how difficult it was to actually, you'd have to get in you guys mentioned you met him in these lobbies and things like that. Like lobbies in a game, that's not even like a thing anymore, right?
And
There's
that's
so
very
much
sad,
matchmaking
yeah.
and everything. Yeah, you don't know anybody you're playing with. I probably played games with thousands of people I'll never see again in the last few years, and I haven't formed the kind of connections that I would have when we played games like, Halo was just one of them, but like early Counter-Strike had that kind of, you join the same server, you'd see the same people. Sometimes you'd have to go on to another, obviously, there was no Discord back then, so it'd be something like Ventrilo or like a
Yeah.
Skype channel or something like
TeamSpeak.
that.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And
TeamSpeak.
TeamSpeak,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Exactly.
Kids
Yeah.
these days will never understand what it was like.
Yeah. And I wonder though, like these connections that we made is just the games I think have changed a lot. There's a lot less hanging around.
True.
Where you don't
Attention spans might be slightly shorter too, just in general. But yeah, lobbies is where you got to meet a bunch of people, and there was proximity chat, so you could trash talk the other team. And most people now just aren't on mics. They're just not on mics. So yeah, I wonder how people create friendships randomly on games nowadays. I'm sure it happens somehow.
It does still happen, but it's, I think, more rare. One, because there's social media now, where when we were playing Xbox Live, like Facebook wasn't around yet, right? That was 2007, I think.
No.
Twitter definitely came after that, so you didn't have a lot. Like, I mean, I guess you
There's
technically had MySpace.
But I used MySpace for local friends, for school friends,
Yeah.
not for
Right. But I feel like the way the internet has evolved, it has grown, has really made us more connected, where back in the Halo 2, Halo 3 area, that was still being fostered. So when you met somebody, it was kind of almost like a spark, it was more impactful then than it is now, because you just get flooded with so much content nowadays. And I feel like it still does happen.
The social networks are saturated.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I was going to say, I think the odds of running into the same person twice in any given game are astronomically small. Even in a game that's quote unquote like low population, right? You end up, I mean, that's probably somewhat intentional, right? You're just playing a bunch of random people. There's skill-based matchmaking, so you're always just playing somebody, they grab a pool of players. So if you, for example, are playing something like Apex Legends, you're really you might make some buddies, but the odds are a lot lower. I think they work against you.
I think there's a lot of little things that really, I think, culminate to how the social experience is in games today, and part of that I think could be addressed by developers, but I think it kind of gets into a gray area, because you have things like, okay, well, people are more easily offended nowadays, and people are a lot more toxic nowadays. And the earlier days of video games, I feel like
I'm going to jump in and just say that could be true, but
it's not always true.
When I look back at some of our videos, there's no way we would make that content today. We could be.
Yes.
I couldn't. It wasn't me. I was just the filmer. But I guess that makes me I'm partly blamed for it. But the cast members could be pretty mean and pretty toxic.
Well, and I was getting
online.
And
but that's the nature of teenagers,
right? And I was getting to that. I think we had a lot more thicker skin back in the day.
Yeah,
I feel like those
or
values.
We care less. Oh, it's back then.
Yeah, back then, not.
I don't know about thicker skin back then. I took things very personally.
It's each person was
every
probably
negative
different.
YouTube comment was just like the worst thing in the world.
Oh.
Forget all the good ones.
Oh man,
the bad one hit
Oh.
me the worst. Hit me the most.
Oh.
I know.
I think Dustin's got a point, though. There was almost an expectation that you would be. Is it weird to say this, but it's almost like it was the same expectation you kind of have of your friends to basically tell you like you're trash at this game, you suck. Like we would do that. to the people. We would do that. It was strange because we would treat a lot of our enemies the same as our allies, and that's kind of how your enemies become your allies.
Yeah.
Because I was going to probably say something to you about, you not playing well, whether you were on my team or not on my team, and I don't know. Again, I think the expectation now, people have become so vicious. Dustin, you got a great idea. It's like people, they don't want to. There's a lot more. Well, I'll tell you another thing. There's a lot more ways to basically ignore people who are just being annoying. You're like, I'm not gonna. A lot of people, when they get into a game, they immediately mute all the mics, or like Chris said, they don't even have one because they're not. That's not the level they want to engage with people at. So there's not a lot of community building.
Right.
They're there to play the game and shut up.
Like, we've made our friends back in that era when it still was kind of the early days of social media, and there was that kind of on the edge of, I'm playing with people that are, and obviously the video game market was not nearly as saturated back as it was in the PS3 and Xbox 360 and prior days. So when you met somebody, like, there was a connection pretty quick because there wasn't a lot out there, and there was a lot of similarities between people, I think, in that phase of the gaming industry.
I wonder if Halo 2 would have been as popular if Xbox Live wasn't around. It wouldn't have. It might have been popular, but wouldn't have lasted as long because the multiplayer and just the online connection helped that game just like stay relevant for years.
Yeah,
I don't know, because Xbox Live just changed everything. I feel like, on the console side of things,
it really did. But I feel like Halo was probably a good game to bring it in.
Yeah.
It really did a lot
for obvious reasons. I've met some of the best friends of my life because of Halo, and by extension Xbox Live.
And to go back what you said, that Halo isn't popular these days. It's weird because it is popular, but it isn't, right? So obviously there's not a lot of people playing Halo right now. It has a very quick fall off because of the unfortunate things of how the last few games have been developed. But almost every gamer, except maybe if you're like maybe 13 or younger, sorry for those that might be Gen Alpha or whatever, but those of us that have been around since maybe 2010 or before know the name Halo. So while it might not be as populous, it's still popular because it sets so many bars for video games.
Know of it, and it did set a lot of bars.
I mean, look what it did to Helldivers over the last week.
Yeah, Helldivers, Fortnite,
Forza.
But a lot of that is nostalgia again. It's all nostalgia.
Yeah.
Because the tie-in is to ODST, so a much older Halo game.
I would say it has a legacy. It's definitely a legacy. You look at the numbers right now. I just did a quick Google. 3,000 players on Infinite. I mean, it's become kind of a niche for
all
people who are still around.
Which platform?
Probably Steam. You're not gonna get Xbox numbers. Those aren't published anymore.
Yeah, this is from Steam DB. So
while the number may be low, it's probably not as low as 3,000. Just I don't want to upset the Halo.
Well, that's active players, myself. Right? That's like who's online playing.
Yeah,
right?
active.
Right.
Right.
It's also 11 o'clock. Yeah. So there's some number. There's going to be some time. Yeah.
Right.
What I'm trying to get at though is, again, I could take averages and be more generous with it, but if you just look at the numbers, it's clearly something that people are very passionate about. But I think, Dustin, you nailed it. You hit the nail on the head. It's the phenomenon of Halo, like the legacy of it, is not going anywhere. Of course, you just celebrated the 20 years, and they are almost at 25 for the game, right? The first Halo. So, but do we think that? And I guess this was going to be my question to you guys. Do you think that Halo is special? Chris mentioned that it wouldn't have been special without the Xbox Live component of it. But do we think it's special?
As big of an impact for me personally because of the friends I made because of Xbox Live.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's compare. I mean, let's address it's the other players in the room here. Call of Duty, right, or like Battlefield, right? It's not the only first-person shooter. It's not the only very popular first-person shooter. I feel that Halo's still different.
Mhm.
not just, of course, because it's like a sci-fi setting. I think it just attracts a different kind of person who tries to play it, right, and enjoys that kind of style. And so that's what I think is unique. I think that you picked a game here. You could have picked another title, Chris, and made. There's trick videos probably for almost every genre out there. It's not Halo isn't the only game that has
That's true.
different glitches and yeah.
But
I think
I hit a niche and then I stuck with the niche because all the friends stuck with the niche. I stuck with the niche, and Halo was still the most fun. I mean, I played a bunch of COD multiplayer, but its custom games, its campaign wasn't quite the same to me.
Bungie hit a
So
lot
I
of
didn't really
perfect storms.
Get into that.
Like regardless of
Yeah.
its troubled development cycle, which we've talked about plenty on this podcast, and there's plenty of documentaries and Vidocs out there about it. But Bungie Halo just hit so many perfect storms to be successful. They revolutionized first-person shooter experience on console with Halo CE. They brought in matchmaking and online and couch and
with Halo 2.
Halo 3 was Forge
and
and
theater was amazing.
Yeah,
in Halo
Machinima
3. I love the theater mode.
exploded. Not just Machinima, Forge, MLG
Exploded more.
I mean, MLG was still significantly there for Halo 2, but Halo 3, I don't know. It would probably depend on which pro you ask if Halo 2 or Halo 3 was more impactful to the pro scene, but I feel like you could probably get a pretty even split that
Halo 2
and Halo 3 were definitely the most impactful competitive Halo games for the scene. And it's hard to say, like, what would it be, like, would Halo be as successful if it didn't have Xbox Live as the title that launched it? Because, and not to put Halo on the pedestal, because obviously we're all kind of biased towards Halo, but
no, we can't be biased. It's impossible.
But I feel like the feature set that came with Halo 2, the social features they put in, the matchmaking experience was the best introduction we could have received to online multiplayer, period.
First person
shooter wise. Yeah, first person shooter wise.
Yeah.
With the matchmaking experience, because there was online play with PC games that had been around for at least a decade or so, but that was all server browser stuff, right? There was really not matchmaking. I think Halo 2 was kind of the first to introduce the concept of matchmaking. So it was bringing internet to consoles, Xbox Live, and matchmaking, all that, and the social features for Halo, like all those things culminated into Halo 2's success and being a notable entry into video game history, hands down. We would not have, well, can't say that, but matchmaking and gaming on the internet would not be what it is today without Halo 2. Now, that's not to say that another game could have maybe come in and filled the gap
totally
at some
not
point.
Because we're biased when we say that. Something else would have come along if Halo 2 hadn't, but
I think about Forge, actually. I think we're kind of underplaying that. That's a thing where I don't think a lot of games were doing that. I don't think a lot of games had the only thing that kind of even had that, and again, we're not doing an apples to apples here, but something like Sims. The Sims or something would have like a creative build your own type
Gary's
of
mod
concept of the game there, right? Yeah, Gary's mod, something where you could go out there and do that. A first-person shooter put together at level editors, and you could do all sorts of things in Forge with the camera work. What am I thinking of, Chris? Where you can do like the camera, you can do filming without having to be, like a theater type of thing. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe people forget that the early Red versus Blues and everything, they had to be shot from. I mean, there had to be another player who actually was the camera person, which is why they had that like little, there'd be reticules and stuff, different tricks to try to get the person to make it look like they were talking and things like that.
Yeah,
and then
I think Red versus Blue was my inspiration to do more Halo stuff or get into Halo content creation. I think,
and honestly, Red versus Blue,
if my memory serves me right,
was what got me interested into Halo. I saw Red versus Blue on an Xbox kiosk in the Target.
Oh, nice.
That was my first introduction to Halo, really, was that. So it's interesting to just compare how we grew up with Halo back in the early 2000s to where things are today. It's a night and day difference.
Yeah, midnight releases, going to the
Right?
actual GameStop or store or Target,
Yeah.
buying your game fuel. Gosh, yeah.
Real life Spartan still has his
Yeah, I
stockpile.
wonder-
We're becoming the back in my day. We had it so good back in our day type of age.
We've been there and over again with how the ages of the internet happen.
Well, and I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think that there was, or maybe not devil's advocate, but just like the idea that there was something beneficial about that. Having to work to be able to get into the games and get them set up. This is a little bit like I talked about with World of Warcraft and how the migration from World of Warcraft was you used to have to join like a general chat or you'd have to join a trade chat. I mean, they didn't even have trade chat back in the day, but you'd have to sometimes shout into the void and hope that you'd find somebody to put together things like a dungeon crawl or God forbid a raid, right? And so you had to basically that was a weird we're all in this together type of cooperation.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about how the internet today, as it's been more evolved, the amount of cooperation needed is virtually non-existent. And we all know that, like in a lot of games we play now, your teammates can be just as much of a menace as as the people you're playing against. There's very little that you can do. I think about like in real life scenarios why I take the train into work every single day, and sometimes I have to stop and realize, oh my God, there's hundreds of us sitting on this metal tube that's flying through the tunnels underground, and somehow we're all keeping it together because you kind of have to, right? Like most of the people behave themselves because of that societal expectation, and I think it's kind of the same thing. If you did so much work in order to get a lobby together to get into a game back then, you weren't gonna. You were less likely to try to sabotage it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Except if you were the cast of Halo Tricks.
But going back to what I said earlier,
like sabotage.
it's kind of like we still, I think, deal with some of the toxicity and some of the cyberbullying, quote unquote. I do think we are in an age of the internet where, because of how prevalent it is and how easy it is to get a voice, that it's kind of taboo to almost be edgy. Because I feel like a lot of the gamer bro type of mentality is, yeah, you're joking with your friends, you're throwing a few maybe questionable jokes that either land or don't land, but I mean, that was kind of the culture back then. Not to say that's necessarily the right way to go about it, but that was just kind of the expectation. And it wasn't that we were trying to disrespect anyone or really meant exactly what we said, but it was just the way that you interacted with people. And that's not generally accepted in internet culture today, which I think is why a lot of people stick to their friend groups who, okay, you can drop that joke with your friends. You know that you can be a little edgy and everyone's having a good laugh because that's just, you have that rapport with your friends. And we all built those friends in the time when that was acceptable. And now with the internet culture having changed, I feel like that's kind of after the YouTube boom and after kind of the gaming boom of like 2012, 2014 era. I feel like between 2014 and 2017 is when the internet really shifted in what it meant to have an online presence and how you interacted with other people on the internet, because it was so prevalent to be a face and it was so prevalent to get a voice out there. And the internet that it is today is not the internet that it was when we were playing Halo 2, Halo 3.
Nope. And in 10 years, it'll be completely different.
It will be.
That's the nature of things.
Yeah.
The age of the internet is so much more rapid than just general society, and it's accelerated how many of those kind of societal changes we experience now. It's a lot more rapid now because of how quickly things propagate because of the internet, because everyone is so connected.
Well, as long as Tank Pinball stays the same 10 years from now.
That's the only thing that matters to Chris is Tank Pinball.
I'll be happy.
The original trick.
That glitch needs to stay around.
Hey, like I said, I'm a sucker for
doomed.
nostalgia, man. MCC is like the biggest nostalgia grab ever. It sucked when it was released, but they made it work and they made it better, and now it's a better game, and I thank the devs for that.
Well, and the crazy part is
we're able to relive those years.
You can get,
as we get older,
basically 6 games. Like, for all the younger folks that are like 12, 13 that are experiencing video games through their mom's or dad's eyes, you can pick up an entire history of the catalog of Halo for $10 on Steam every once in a while. For $10!
We grew up before video games were like very prevalent for our own parents. So they never really passed down any of the games that they played. Like,
unless you had
Tetris
cool parents,
or
because
Pac-Man.
There were some of those cool parents back then. Not a lot.
But I wonder, like,
there were.
I wonder if the parents that grew up, our generation who are becoming parents, when their kids get to a certain age, they're gonna like, okay, let me sit you down and let's play some Halo CE remastered from 2011.
Play Zelda, play
so you
Fable,
can experience
play
what I experienced.
Tomb Raider.
Freaking 13 at not 13 years ago at that point, but like decade or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, and Ace has probably made this joke like 100 times, but it's a joke, but I think it actually has some merit to it. There's a lot of parents out there who say, when I introduce my kids to video games, they got to do it like I did. They've got to experience the ordinals. Like, let's use like Zelda as an example, because it has a longer, Halo's been around for a while and it's starting to get a little bit there, but Zelda, of course, has got another like 20 years on Halo. So they say, like, no, I'm not going to let you go play the latest and greatest Tears of the Kingdom kind of game. You can't go out and play that immediately. You got to go cut your teeth on the original Legend of Zelda, the first, the one in the 80s, and then you got to work your way forward through it so you can get the appreciation of the media. And there's something to be said for that, only because I think if you go the other way and you start playing newer Zelda and then you start trying to work your way backwards, the quality of life that they've added to the game almost makes it not, feasible. Think about it for us guys. If we go to play Halo today, it's not because the mechanics were like super awesome or anything. It's we're trying to capture something that a moment in time years ago when we played it. Yeah. And if we were really looking for a quality game, right, at least mechanically, we'd want to be playing something minimum like Halo 3 or later on, because it's when they had done a lot more fixes to the actual
a little better stuff like that. I played with the cast a few days ago, and they were already complaining about there's no sprint, there's no I forget what else they were complaining about. There's no sprint,
advanced
there's
movement,
no sliding.
No sliding. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, and they're like, it's taking forever to kill people. I was just like, okay, guys, let's be a little more positive about our childhood here, okay? This is for a video.
This stuff is your history.
It is our history.
To remind you what you're fighting to protect.
Times change and what you're into changes, and that all happened with us as well. I mean, we all kind of stopped playing Halo after a while, got into different games, and...
You stopped?
Yeah. And stopped. But what was TJ was talking about something, and
Justin just found out that you can quit a video game.
Well, I mean, if you ask more than half the Halo community, Halo's dead. So yeah.
Well, it's not dead to me. It's just
it's not dead. People who say Halo's
dead,
ever
really dead. It's just a legacy.
I shouldn't have pulled the numbers. up. I was trying to make
what you've done.
I was trying to make a point about like legacy versus something now where people, if you go look up like what people are actually really into and everything like that. I think Dustin, you had the best description ever. It is a cultural phenomenon that will never ever go away, and from here on out, any game that ever has. Exactly. But any game that even has kind of the semblance of it, there's a lot of games now that come out and we still think, oh, wow, that's a very like Halo. Not that not that every component of Halo is this massively original piece of media, right?
Right.
Because there's aliens that are very similar to what we see in Alien. In fact, the aliens themselves are inspired,
Into
in
Halo.
my opinion, by
No, they
the
are. They are.
yeah the Tyranid.
That's public knowledge that
Yeah,
Alien was a heavy influence into Halo. That whole franchise.
exactly. But I also think of the Tyranid from the Warhammer 40K universe as well. And so there's definitely there's pieces of there because of the hive mind components and things like that. And so and there's obviously inspirations there. That being said, I still think that you used Helldivers as an example of here's a game that came out now, but people are still thinking Halo, and Halo still has this cultural effect on it.
Yeah. Halo was mentioned probably the minute that Helldivers dropped because the whole community has been clamoring for more Halo games that's not just the first person shooter and also one that's unfortunately better than what we've gotten at release for the last couple of 343 games, which is sad to say, but it just goes to show that people want to play Halo. They want to experience Halo, and the way that Halo as a franchise has been made and fostered, it does lend itself to a lot of different playstyles and formats. And ODST in Helldivers, like you just swap the color paint and the enemy types, and it's Halo. So the fact that we even got a Warbond that's ODST into Helldivers is a testament to how impactful the Halo franchise is to the gaming space in general. And you have Halo on a PlayStation title. Like, I've seen a couple of things on social media. It's like the console wars are dead, which I don't think they're actually dead. But it just goes to show that there are games that will have an influence on the industry forever. Minecraft, Fortnite, Halo, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike, League of Legends. They will always have World of Warcraft. They will always have an influence. GoldenEye, Mario. This goes on and on.
I have a question. Now,
I keep interrupting myself.
Since I am celebrating 20 years of Halo tricks, I'm curious if there was a game or something in the mid 2000s that you didn't think would last that long that actually did. It could be a game or it could be anything. I'm like, is there something that you've come back to or that has released a new iteration that you have enjoyed or like have come back to that came out around that time?
I was not into video games that much. Like,
well, neither was I. So I guess it was a bad question.
Well, just
a game. So your question is a game that
it doesn't have to be a game,
2000s.
but something that you didn't think would last as long. I didn't think Halo Tricks would last this long, and here I am 20 years later, celebrating its existence because it shaped me, it melded me, it made me who I was. Was there something like that for you guys back then? I mean, we're all biased here to Halo, but was there something else besides Halo that kind of shaped you? That I don't know, man. I'm just reminiscing here. I'm sitting in nostalgia. I'm having a great time. I'm vibing.
There's a lot of things I wish were that held on that I thought would hold on and didn't. I don't know about the other way around.
Yeah, I guess that's true too.
I would say mine's an older title. It goes even further back because I'm a weird kid who, even though I had games, you would think with me growing up that I was not as well to do because I played a lot of really old, like in the 90s, I was playing games that came out in the 80s. But I just was a weird kid and really liked some of that old style stuff.
What game? I don't.
So for me,
Asteroids.
well, that's what built my username. No. I went more obscure.
Oh.
The game that I played was called Dark Sun Shattered Lands, and you could see where Darker Sun came from that. So that was the Dark Sun. If you look up Dark Sun Shattered Lands, now people are probably anybody listening to the podcast is gonna look up this 1993 title.
Oh.
But it was just one of those things, again, PC gamer growing up, DOS, whatever you want, MS-DOS kind of thing like that. And I had all these, and some of them were on floppy, some were on a boot disk. This just gives you an idea of the age of them. But they had a profound effect on, in the case of Dark Sun, that built a lot of my passion for like Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop role-playing games and things like that. So. So I guess your question is, what's something you kind of wish? One of you said this. What's something you kind of wish had really taken off? I kind of wish that they'd done. Dark Sun had seen more of that kind of thing. And unfortunately, once BioWare got into making the CRPGs that we now know as, like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale, they chose to use a different. Those are Dungeons and Dragons games, but they're using a different setting. So, but yeah, that's kind of yeah.
World of Warcraft was one that kind of shaped me a little bit and almost caused me to stop making Halo stuff. And then one that I wish had more games made of, or like sequels, was Crimson Skies.
The
freaking plane fighting game in like the steampunk world. That was a fun game, and yeah, I'm sad that didn't continue. But anyway. But yeah,
what I like about Crimson Skies is it's kind of got the it's like a World War One. It's a game where we don't see a lot of. There's 10,000 games that are World War II related. In fact, let's reverse the question. What's a game series that I didn't think would take off as much as it did? Call of Duty. You play the first Call of Duties and well, I thought they were very. Here's the thing: World War II. Even when Call of Duty had come out, there was tons of games like Hidden and Dangerous. There was also a World War II title. I think some of the early Sniper Elite games had already come out.
I don't know.
And so World War II was.
I don't know what you're talking
about.
Medal of Honor.
But I'm saying that.
And Battlefield.
Call of Duty. And Battlefield.
Medal of Honor was the popular one before Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I think.
Yep. So you're looking at the first Call of Duty. Imagine you're, 13-year-old me.
Too, I think. First one, at least.
Yeah. And you've seen all of this, like, World War II settings, and you think to yourself, and actually, to their credit, the World War II setting is not the reason. I think if they would have stayed with it, then Call of Duty would have died on the branch. It wouldn't have died on the branch, but it would have stayed so incredibly niche, right? There would be no way that you'd be able to release. What are they up to? I was trying to get a count here. 14 titles, 13 titles. You're not going to make 14 games about World War II. It's not going to happen. Yeah, you're not. There's just not enough. It's an interesting conflict, obviously, but there's just not enough to tell. There's not enough. You can tell every angle of every person's story. 16 Ways to Sunday. People are not going to get interested. I think that's why Call of Duty. Like I said, most people would argue that Call of Duty really got its feet underneath it with Modern Warfare. So that was, a change in the setting and everything. Everything after that is history. And what surprises me is just how fast they can keep these games pumping out.
Multiple developed studios.
Well, yeah, that's one of the arguments for Halo, though, too, right? Like, there's tons of studios that could do something really good with the Halo IP, and people just want to see more Halo content, not necessarily first-person shooter. Like, yeah, if Halo Studios wants to keep a hold of that genre, sure, but Halo Wars was decently successful. Like, everyone that's lore-focused in the Halo community loves Halo Wars, and Helldivers proves that people are interested to see Halo and ODST as its own game. Battle Royale is a great thing for that kind of fit too. You read the novels, there's plenty of things you can do with Halo. I wish they would take a page out of Call of Duty's book instead of what they try to do with Halo 4 and just try to copy Call of Duty, but and let some other developers try their hand at the IP.
Well, that certainly would build up the future of the game. We would see a lot more releases on the titles, and we'd see a lot more. I agree with you, Dustin. It's like you have these people. It's not just a nostalgia title anymore, right? It is, but it could be more than that if they continue to release more titles. There's people hankering for this, yeah, and there could be a whole new generation of people. And I mean, even the setting itself. We talked about the setting a little bit earlier, at how I do think it lends itself to maybe a certain type of fan, right? Obviously, it's sci-fi, but it's not just that. So there's just a type of person that plays Halo that really enjoys that. But yeah, in order to do this, they would need a lot more people working on this and be committed to it.
Yeah. Kind of on the question that you were talking about, Darker Star, Darker Sun. Dark Star has just gotten in my head from...
Hey, you know what? No. The sun is a star. We'll keep going.
There you go. But some, like, Fortnite's in a really odd spot, right? Because now there's basically 3 or 4 games in Fortnite between the traditional Fortnite multiplayer, and now you've got the evolution of Rock Band into Fortnite, and then the Lego World Exploring is basically like their Minecraft. Like they're trying to make Fortnite all in one like platform. Like who would have seen that coming?
That's, we talked about this earlier. I think that if you look at the success of Fortnite, and I'm not going to say it's like Halo, but it does become. I'm trying to find the term for this, but when I Google this, I keep coming up with different results. But I'm calling it kind of like an everything game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a game where you're coming for more than just, and that's going to break, and that's what kind of needs to break the mold. Because if I come to a game and I'm just going to do it for one thing, then that's going to be whatever that game's going to be. And I'm not going to play it forever. I'm going to get bored of it. I'm going to move on to the next thing. But when you have an everything app, it becomes much easier to take people's whole life. Think about, Chris, I think you could probably relate to this. When we talk about Halo, one of the reasons you might have dedicated so much time to this wasn't just because it had a theater mode. It had a competitive mode too. And it had a campaign
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a little of that.
I liked Halo way before it had a theater mode, let me tell you. It was...
But you'd made your own kind of theater mode out of it, right? Like, you're filming and you're doing this. And so I think that's what's unique is that when you can approach the game from different angles, you have a creative people working on it. You have competitive people. When I say working on it, I mean like playing it. Creative people playing it. You have competitive people playing it. You have people just hanging out, social people playing it. Then that's where I think Fortnite has somehow, struck gold. It wounds me a little bit to see what kind of lowest common denominator Fortnite tries to go for, but you can't deny that what they've done is very intelligent by putting everything under the sun there. When you go to play Fortnite now, you're not just playing some BR game. If it was, then it wouldn't have ever been able to stand. How many other BR games fell to the wayside? Even ones that probably had better, were mechanically better or had better ideas on how to make the perfect BR. But they weren't an everything app, right? There wasn't a million and one other things you could do with it. So Minecraft, for example, is also that. Of course, the luck of Minecraft is it was more intelligently designed to be that way. But because Minecraft could be anything you want it to be, that is kept its longevity.
I'm going to interject now and talk briefly, well, maybe briefly, but I always want, like, so you're in the moment. Back in 2005, when you're either developing, at that time, they were probably developing Halo 3, or I was making trick videos. In the moment, you probably don't even realize whatever you're doing or creating could have such an impact years later. And I know for me, I didn't know that any of this would have an impact so many years later, even in the moment, even when we got popular. As I mentioned earlier, the negative comments got to me more than the positive ones. And it wasn't until years later where I look back and go like, wow, I affected a lot of people's lives in a hopefully positive way. And there's one comment that I read probably back in 2015 that has stuck with me for 10 years as a gentle reminder of what it meant, the show or the series or whatever it was, our group of friends goofing off, what it meant to them growing up, because we were an inspiration to a lot of people, and I didn't realize it at the time. This was their comment on one of my videos. This show will always have a place in my childhood. I will always remember you were one of the main channels I went to when I got home after a stressful day of being bullied in middle school. To see that you guys are still alive and well brings warmth to my heart. I will always remember the name CMNeir and the cast that made me laugh time and time again. Thank you for the ride. I don't know why, but that stuck with me and still sticks with me because essentially we were just entertainment for whoever wanted to watch. And we were recording these videos for fun because we wanted to, and we got enjoyment out of doing it. We never did it for the views. We never did it for, I don't even know what we did it for. I did it because I wanted to try and catalog every trick I could. And that was probably my addiction. but it formed into this bigger thing because I met all these people that became fans, who became friends, who became family. And the basement that I started the show in is the same basement that the cast came and hung out in at PAX 6 years after I started the show. And we got to all meet each other, go bowling, and hang out and just have a great time. And the fact that I'm still friends with all these people, like 20 years later, almost 20 years for some of them, like it's mind-boggling. It's crazy. And we keep in touch, sometimes on the daily, sometimes every few months, but we still keep in touch. And whenever we hang out as a group, it's like no time has passed. And I love that. And the only thing I don't love is they don't really follow directions well. And that's still the same 20 years later. But it's just, I don't know, it's surreal.
20 years from now, they're still not going to be following your directions.
No, they're not. Trying to get together a reunion is difficult in and of itself with all our adult responsibilities and schedules. But the fact that we can hop on Halo when we get the chance and still laugh and enjoy ourselves, even though we complain about no sliding and sprinting, that's what I live for. And that's what, and comments like that, stuff like that I read now, or people bring up, and how we affected them during their childhood, it makes everything worth it. And it made all the negative, the negative comments.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even remember the negative comments anymore. Although back in the day, I would respond to them in a very passive aggressive way. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, no, I was just a very different kid back then.
Yeah. I remember when you sent me that in 2015. I remember pretty distinctly. And it was funny because, if I can be honest, my first reaction was that it was, I kind of thought it was cheesy. And then as time has softened me a little bit and life has gone on, I imagine now that kid who weirdly enough, if you think about it, is clearly an adult, probably almost in their 30s. And it's weird to think that, but kid, this really was something for them, to be able to type that and be vulnerable. He doesn't gain anything by telling you that. Like, he's not getting any sort of, kickback or anything like that. This came from the heart. This was somebody who wanted to tell you that you made something that was a real difference to them. And I think that's really actually kind of cool that you could be there for that. And it reminds me a lot of people who make things that you can tell they make it for their fans first. And I know that you did that, because I think if you had come into this, Chris, thinking, I'm going to make this, it's going to last 20 years, we're going to make, hundreds of videos, we're going to get all these subscribers, it would have lacked the genuine, it would have lacked it would not be the same Halo tricks. And I can argue that it probably wouldn't have had the popularity it did, because people can smell when something's not genuine like that.
Yeah, we were just a group of teenagers having a great time, and it was just consistency is what really helped, I think. Just uploading constantly, because we never planned to get popular. We never planned anything, really. I just planned to catalog as many tricks as possible and call it a day. It was a hobby, and then it turned into a little bit more than that. And very grateful for that. And you don't even need to have a YouTube channel or do something for the masses, if you want to call it that, to make an impact on someone. Like, his comment made a huge impact on me years after the fact, and I'm still bringing it up 10 years later. Like, you can do this in your daily life. You can be kind, you can be helpful, you can be funny, you can do all sorts of things and make a difference in one person's life, in one person's day, just by how you act around them, or what you do, or your personality. So I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say we all have the potential to do something great. And I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought.
To kind of piggyback off what you're saying, Chris, I think part of it is how simpler times were back in our day. That's kind of the running. That's probably going to be the title of this episode. It's probably going to be back in our day at this point. But that was the thing. Like, there wasn't the expectation to make content to get popular, to get views like it is now, right? Like, there's some people that do that.
Well, it still doesn't have to be that way. That's what I'm trying to say. And it doesn't become that way until you get popular, I think. Because then I don't think you get that pressure until until you get popular, right? Like, I think once you're popular, the pressure's there.
I think it depends on your mentality.
Did you have that?
Did I have that? I don't remember. I really don't remember. We got so popular after Halo 3 released. I didn't really think about it. I just knew I just wanted to keep creating and just go. But I don't know if I felt the pressure. I probably did. I mean, the negative comments obviously stuck with me, and I could be mean in my responses. I would go. I went back and looked at some of my comments one time. I was just like,
they started it, Chris.
Oh, who cares if they started it? I didn't need to respond the way I responded, and it doesn't help. I should have put more effort into responding to the nice comments and not the bad comments. See, that's growth right there.
We were learning the internet at that point.
It happened a little too late. But
because you have all these people who are nostalgic. Can we talk then a little bit about Halo 3 comes out. Trix is at basically probably we'd argue the top of its game, right?
Yeah.
And then do we want to kind of talk about like you're in college and everything is coming together. I would argue, and maybe you could clarify this, actually.
See, kids, this is why you shouldn't go to college, because you'll lose all the time you can spend playing games and making content.
Drop out of college, make Halo videos.
Let this be a lesson to you. Not the fact that college is super expensive now, probably was then too, but like, I don't know. College caused it to dwindle a bit, but I think it was also in part Halo's popularity. Like, by then COD had taken the front of the pack in terms of popularity. So I don't know. And then Minecraft came along, and that just cut into everything, which was great. I think tons of people did well with Minecraft.
Yeah, you kind of beat me to the punch here, but I was going to say what portion of this was kind of, you had many other projects that you were trying to work on. You had, school that you were focused on. And what portion of this was you realized at this point you were very much connected to Halo. And so as much as Halo was going to be, as much people were going to watch Halo, we're going to watch your...
The fans always liked Halo. When I would release things that weren't Halo, there was always backlash and less views, whatever. I think I did start to drift away from Halo a little bit, but I think what really caused me to step away wasn't so much the games themselves, but getting busy. And not just me getting busy, but the rest of the cast. Because the channel was never just about me. I didn't make the channel what it was, per se. It was the cast of characters that we all were and how we all interacted, which is what made the channel what it was. It wasn't the trick. I like to say it wasn't the tricks. They came for the tricks, but they stayed for us or the cast, because we were fun. We had and it showed. And once we all started to get busy and got into different games, like, we weren't always into Halo. And once that started to happen, it was hard to pull people back in, and it just became less and less until real life got in the way and jobs got in the way. And then at that point, it kind of just stopped. And then it came back in semi-full swing when the pandemic started, and we celebrated 10 years after Halo 3 Tricks ended. I still can't believe I got that done in time. I think I sent out an SOS. Everyone sent me in clips of you like a day before our anniversary, and I got it done. But, you had plenty of time during the pandemic. So I recorded a lot of Tricks again in MCC, and it was so much fun to, like, literally relive my childhood again with basically the same people that were a part of the original show. And so to be able to do this 20 years later with basically all the same people that are available, that aren't busy, obviously, is amazing. We're still all friends. We didn't all end up hating each other, for the most part. I don't know. I'm just glad everyone's still friends with me, They still like me, I guess, probably. Hard to tell.
They're not going to listen to you, but they
all the time. But
yeah, they're not going to listen to you, but they still like you. Hey, so one last thing I was going to ask you then, Chris, just because we're sitting at the about an hour mark here. what if you were gonna, I'm sure maybe people ask you this, but if you were gonna reboot something, right? Obviously, Halo's great. If you were gonna do something different today with a different game, what would what would you think is going to be the next Halo? Like, what do you think is going to be the next?
I didn't even know Halo was the next Halo.
Halo.
I can't answer that. I didn't know what I was getting into. I have no future planning psychic powers to tell what's going to be popular, especially now. Like, YouTube has changed so much. But if I were to do things again, I wouldn't. I always love rebooting things, which I did during the pandemic because nostalgia, number one. But if I was to do something, I wouldn't just do it alone. I would want the group of friends that I've always done it with to be a part of it. And if they couldn't always be around to be a part of it, then I don't feel the need to do anything. And it's not like I feel the need to do anything at all. It's more about wanting to do it. And that's why I not came back. I'm still kind of around, but that's why I'm doing the 20-year anniversary video and got a lot of the cast back together who could make it to be a part of the video and the celebration because
you wouldn't talk
they all grew up with it too. Yeah,
you wouldn't talk the gang into getting into like a new game. If you were to start it today and say
everyone has
we're bringing
interests. The game. It's hard to find a game that we can all play and all schedule around because everyone lives in different time zones and back then I didn't have to schedule the dang thing, and that was so nice. When I got online, everyone was around and ready to go. I didn't have to be like, okay, guys, let's get on it, like whatever. We'd be up until 3-4 in the morning playing matchmaking or filming in custom games because we were teenagers. We had all the time in the world. Now it's like, okay, who's available between this time? Okay, so we have like a 2-hour window. Okay, let's see if we make it work. If we don't, we'll try to reschedule. So to all the youngins out there that listen or are listening, it's probably just all the people nostalgic for Halo that are listening right now.
all us oldies.
But yeah, cherish the times that you spend with your friends, especially when. Yeah, just in general, because you don't know how often that's going to happen and for how long that's going to happen. And interests change, personalities change. You're not going to be the same person you were at 15 when you're 35. And I mean, it probably doesn't change too much. I still have basically the same sense of humor. But and all my friends still rag on me and teeter the line of like me not talking.
But different reactions.
Yeah.
But different reactions to negative comments, right? Different.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah. Let's talk. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. I don't react to negative comments like that anymore. Yeah. That's a good one.
You just don't hit submit on it.
I don't hit submit. I don't even write it. I don't let that enter my mind anymore because it was toxic. It was not good for my health back then. But I was a teenager. There wasn't a lot of good things for my health back then.
Yeah, it makes me think of this that a man cannot play the same Halo twice because it is not the same Halo and he is not the same man. Is what I get away from this.
That's deep.
When I played Halo with the same group of people last week playing matchmaking, it felt like 2007 all over again. It literally felt. It was the same type of humor, the same type of jokes, the same. It was as if a day hadn't gone by. And if you can do that with your group of friends, then you have a really good group of friends because that is so special, and I enjoy every second of that. Just not talking to them for months, start talking, boom, it's like nothing has changed. You fall back into the same inside jokes and stuff. It's pretty cool. I'm thankful to and fortunate for everything that I've been able to experience. And it was all because my friend Ryan told me about tank pinball on a bus ride home from school. We ended up recording it on a camcorder. And I met so many friends because of that.
There's a reason why it's called the golden era of video games. Because it was just the right time.
Because we're biased and we grew up with it, so we get to call it that. That's why it's called the golden era.
I mean, you're not wrong. But in all seriousness, though, it was the right mix of good games to play, the social features were there that really fostered that growth and that connection at the time. Because nowadays you're in your own party chats, you're in your own private games. And not to say you can't make friends today, but the way games are made are not quite as social as they used to be. I think that's more an artifact of society than games. I think games are created in response to societal norms. I think that's why the social features aren't as.
So what do I have to say to
there.
that is be the change you want to be, listeners. Talk in that lobby. Plug in your mic for once. Or send a text to your old friends and get them on a game that you used to play and have a good game night again.
Yeah. And it's just different, right?
Because life is short.
Like you have your friend groups.
And game lifespans are short.
They are. They really are.
So, yeah.
And it's so saturated, too. That's another difficulty.
Very saturated.
There's so many games to play. Like, back in our time frame, back in our day, again, Halo was one of the handful of first-person shooters that were popular. Granted, there were a whole bunch of them out there, but...
Oh my gosh. Fusion Frenzy. Oh, that was such a fun game. Yeah, sorry, I just remembered that one. That should have had more games. I think it did, but they weren't as good.
Burnout?
But anyway.
Yeah, imagine if
Burnout.
that took off.
Oh my gosh, Burnout was so fun.
Burnout, yeah.
Oh. Imagine if Fusion Frenzy took off in the same way that Halo and Call of Duty did. Though.
Trials.
Well, now you have games sort of like Fusion Frenzy, but they're really not family friendly, I guess. You got Among Us, you got Fall Guys. I mean, it's sort of in the same vein of like.
I think Fall Guys is very similar. Yeah.
Play with friends and have a grand old time vibe. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I got to say on the matter.
It's hard to capture. And I'm sure there's videos out there that really kind of capture the era of video games. I haven't gone and personally looked, but it definitely feels different. Like we've been through several eras of.
That's because we're older.
Right, but we've been there since the near beginning, right? I mean, I had friends that grew up on like the Sega Genesis and not I'm not Atari. I don't go that far back, but it just goes to show how much has really changed for the gaming industry as a whole and how we just as a society change. Not to say that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but that's just life,
society
right?
Changes, we all change. Yeah.
Yeah. And video games are adapting to that, and we were very fortunate to grow up in a time and be at a point socially where for us we were at that ripe age.
Some amazing people. Yeah, we got to meet some amazing people that we never would have met otherwise if it wasn't for an online Xbox Live type of environment that allowed us to connect with people from across the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm still here today, and that's why I still have a lot of the same friends I made back then because of Halo, because of Xbox Live, and because of a silly idea to film
tank pinball
on a camcorder through a VCR. And that's why we'll probably do a 50-year anniversary from our wheelchairs when we get there. We'll do a LAN party. We'll do old school. And
we're trying to throw a LAN party at Worlds.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
LAN parties are great.
Yeah. Well, we've chatted for a while. I'm sure we could go on for a long time as far as kind of the back in our day topic. But really good to talk with you again, Chris. And
yeah, likewise.
We've probably met at
too,
some
DJ,
point, Darker Sun, but or DJ.
Yeah, Dustin, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and reminiscing. This has been a little bit more of just kind of a laid back talking episode than I thought it was going to be. But shout out to CMNeir and team for 20 years of Halo tricks.
Woo-hoo.
It'll be interesting to see what next Halo game comes out that you might be trying to do more tricks with, possibly.
Well, who knows? It's all about time.
Well, and we'll have a new engine to try, right? So all that stuff with the Blam /Slipspace engine, all those little weird quirks. Now, granted, Havoc apparently does work with the Unreal Engine, so you can still have that physics engine running within Unreal. But I'm sure with the change, there'll be plenty of new things to uncover and try, and hopefully it still maintains the Halo feel, and you might have some new things to discover with your group.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, and
in the meantime,
any plugs?
I'm going to go down a nostalgic plugs. Oh, gosh. The Halo Tricks anniversary is on September 7th every single year. You can celebrate along with me. And I just want to give a shout out to all my friends, the family of friends that were once cast members, that were once fans, that helped me create the channel and the show. And yeah, I don't know. I still don't know how we're here 20 years later and we're all still friends, but I'm grateful for all of that. And here's to another 20 years, and here's to celebrating the 50-year anniversary. And how many years is that? 30 years?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves too much.
Oh my gosh, 30 years? I don't even know if Halo will be playable anymore.
from our wheelchairs, apparently. Yes.
Yeah. In the old man's home. We'll do a LAN party.
That'll be about the time
We're
I
all
start
invited.
retiring. Yeah, right? Hey, Claude,
Oh
where's
gosh,
your...
okay. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm making us feel older now. Okay, and with that, this is CMNeir signing off.
We are the old guard. Just to be
Here we go.
Just to be upfront and blunt about it, we are the old guard. It used to be Claude. It used to be Miguel. It used to be Red versus Blue Bernie. Like they are, they've kind of come and gone, and we are now the old guard that from the Halo 2, Halo 3 era.
Proud to be a part of it.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to this episode. I know it's been a little bit of a different episode, but I think we had a really good perspective on just where gaming has been and how our experiences with the Halo franchise and gaming in general has really changed over the last few years. So this was fun. This was a good little conversation. I maybe I should try to get some more people on to talk about this.
Yeah, we should do this
Trip down
again.
memory lane.
I have an anniversary coming up in 30 years. We can really reminisce then.
So
Get it? Oh my gosh, I'm
is still
so
working.
funny. I'm so funny.
well, you have given me the idea. Remember the decade shows that we did? That I did after Halo Fest? Well, maybe we'll do something similar with 25 years for Halo. It'll be the the quarter century 4-part roundtable again next year around this time. So yeah.
I'll be there.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Thank you again, Chris and DJ, for hopping on and chatting with me tonight. Catch you all on the next one. Thank you for listening to Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast. You can find our podcast on your favorite podcasting service and listen to us live every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch. Check out our website, podtacular.com, and join the community on Discord at podtacular.com/discord. If you want to play Halo with us, come join us for Fraggin' Fridays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Become a supporter of the show by sharing the show with your friends and family. Or help keep the lights on by subscribing to us on Twitch, donating via PayPal, or becoming a patron alongside Confal, Pins Halo, and Prestige Ace. Until next time, keep on fragging trucks.